Will everyone please join me in Gassho? And repeat the Nembutsu with me. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandats, 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 namandats. Well, good morning, everyone. And of course, a very happy new year to everyone who is present today and to the members who are not present today. And as we say in Japanese, akemashite omedetou gozaimasu. And I didn't write this, but also kotoshi mo yoroshiku onegai shimasu, or please regard me kindly this year as well. So I would like to wish everyone a happy new year and welcome you all to our first Sunday service for the month of January and, of course, the year of 2022. Wow, we are now just beginning a new year. I wonder if everyone on the call feels differently than they did last year. Do you feel differently than you did when it was 2021? Maybe some of you do. Maybe some of you feel a bit refreshed, and maybe some of you are feeling wonderful that a new year has begun, and you're feeling a great, overwhelming sense of joy that we all made it to another year. Maybe some of you are feeling slightly anxious because, as the truth of the Dharma tells us, we don't know what the future brings. We don't know how our lives are going to be the very next day or even the very next moment. But some of the things that we probably do, especially many of us Japanese people of Japanese ancestry do, we have the traditions or the rituals that we keep in the new year when the new year starts. So as you can see on my screen that I'm sharing, we have some very traditional things that some of you are probably familiar with. On the top right there with the big picture with the fancy looking food, which is called osechi, which is actually, I believe, sold by Uwajimaya now these days. You can pre-order it and you can buy it at Uwajimaya. I don't know if any of you have done that or have done that yet. Some of you are probably very dedicated and you make it all yourself. So wow, great, great for you. Then on the top left, you'll notice that there is a Shinto Shrine that I showed, and this is because usually at New Year's time in Japan, lots and lots of people go to the Shinto shrines to kind of get blessings from the gods and to bless their new year and to really move forward with a prosperous year. And so they go to the shrine and they throw in money inside the little boxes, and then they ring the bells, and then they clap their hands twice to signify heaven and earth, and they ask for the God's blessing. And so that's a very popular tradition. I should mention that while we are Buddhist, Reverend Cindy and I, just for educational purposes, visited the very famous shrine in Japan when I was living there. And now I'm the Fushimi Inari Shrine. Thank you, Reverend Cindy. The Fushimi Inari Shrine, and let me tell you, this was the New Year's week. Okay, so it was, I think, day 3 of January 3rd. Yes, it was January 3rd. And it's still, the lines were packed. There was just so many people lining up to go to the Fushimi Inari Shrine and walk through it and walk through the many gates. And it felt almost like Disneyland. It was quite an experience. So I'm not certain how many of those people really believed that they were going to be blessed by the gods, or if it was just something that they did out of tradition. And then, of course, finally, at the lower left there, you'd see a familiar dish. Maybe it looks a little bit different depending on how your family cooked it, but this is ozoni, right? This is the dish that is usually eaten at the morning of New Year's Day. And for some people, it's considered to be bad luck to eat, to leave your house before you've eaten your ozoni. So now, of course, we as Jodo Shinchu Buddhists don't necessarily subscribe to that logic, but that's why for many people it's important that they eat their ozoni before they leave the house for the day, the New Year's Day. But another symbol that you can definitely see that's present in Japanese New Year's is the Kagami Mochi. And this symbol, of course, is very present in all walks of tradition in Japan. You see it at Shinto shrines and you see it at Buddhist temples. And in fact, we have our own Kagami Mochi here on the Onaijin. And a great shout out and thanks to Mrs. Kazuko Inoue for making this year's Kagami Mochi and supplying it for the temple. So, sorry, I went too fast there, but why do we actually put up the Kagami Mochi? Like, what does that mean? And what does that signify? Well, it means many things, but one of the things that it does signify is that mochi is usually a rice cake that's eaten during special times of the year. So it signifies the time that it's a special time of the year. And then in Shinto principles or in Shinto purposes, it's actually done because they said that the rice god lives within the mochi. So you want to honor the rice god. So during the old days when farming was very prevalent in Japan, you wanted the rice god to bless your fields, and you wanted to have a fruitful harvest for the season. So that was another thing. But for me personally, and then especially as a Buddhist, since I'm not Shinto and I don't subscribe to Shinto thought, I look at the mochi and putting the mochi up as not only an offering, like as a symbolic offering towards the Buddha, but also as an acknowledgement that I was able to eat rice this past year. I was fortunate enough to eat rice this past year because of the many causes and conditions that surround me, and the many loving and caring members who surround me, and that we surround each other. Many of us were able to eat rice this past year, and will hopefully be able to eat more rice this coming year. But then New Year's is a time to go to the temple as well. So as you can see, this picture here is of Nishihonganji. That is our head temple in Japan. I had the privilege of being able to participate in their New Year's service, and it's a very big affair as well. And this is a time of reflection. Going to the temple, going to the Buddhist temple, is a time of reflection. And I think that this is, in a sense, what separates us or makes us different from Shinto. So when we look at the Shinto way of things, or when we see when people go to the Shinto shrines in the New Year, they're kind of going with this hope that, I hope that that my family will be blessed. I hope that, maybe I'll find love this year, or maybe I'll make a lot of money this year. We're kind of going, or people who go to the shrine are like with that sense of attitude are thinking, wow, I hope I can get something this year. I hope I can get blessed this year. But in Buddhism, especially in Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, when we go into the new year, we try to go in with the renewed sense of gratitude and acceptance of the Dharma. When we go to the temple, we try to really renew the sense of understanding of what the Dharma teaches us. What is the Dharma teaching us? Did we learn from our experiences in the past year? Now, as we all know, right, what does Buddhism, what are one of the big I's, and what's one of the big I's in Buddhism? Impermanence. And this is, of course, a very familiar picture that everyone knows very well, and that's Times Square in New York when they drop the big ball and they ring in the new year right at midnight. And one of the truths about impermanence is that time doesn't stop for anyone. Time doesn't cease. Time doesn't slow down. We sometimes want time to slow down. Sometimes we want time to speed up. And I'm certain that many of you this past year, in the year of 2021, were hoping, I want to get to the next year, right? But other times we wish that we could relive certain moments again, or we could experience certain things again, or we can win, like when we win something, we wish we can live that again, or when something wonderful happens, we wish that we could live that moment again. When we graduate, or when we have these wonderful moments of spontaneity or happiness, we wish those moments can repeat themselves. But guess what? They never will, and they don't, and they're not supposed to. So this is something I know in my past Dharma talks and in my Myokyo message that I sent out, I said, let's start this new year, 2022, with a renewed sense of gratitude. But one of the reasons for this is not necessarily because I'm trying to impart a sense of morality or a sense of like you should be feeling this way, but because of the ultimate truth of Buddhism that teaches us that life is impermanent, that time will constantly change and will constantly, in a sense, in our perception, move forward. And this is one of the messages that the Japanese have coined, I think, that really captures that, and that is Ichigo Ichie. How many of you have heard this term before? Ichigo Ichie. This, this term really just means one moment at one time, or meeting at one moment, or once in a lifetime, right? But it's not just it doesn't just talk about big events like graduation or when I was ordained or when a person is born, right? It's the one moment that we're living right now, the one moment that we have at this moment. And as soon as that moment is gone, we can't we can't go back and we can't relive that moment. It's just something that we cannot do. It is one of the truths that we have to accept in Buddhism. So, with this in mind, with this sense of Ichigo Ichie, one thought, one moment, nothing ever repeats itself. Nothing ever stays the same. This moment will never happen again. So, what does this mean? Well, first off, on a personal level, but of course, as a personable or as a personal level for all of us, when we realize this, we should take this time of reflection to first say the Nembutsu, for nothing in life is ever guaranteed, and we must cherish those around us now. We must also take this moment to really appreciate our families and the people who live around us and support us. So as you can see, this picture, some of you know, my family, my parents and my brother were able to visit this year, and Reverend Cindy and I were able to host them and for the Christmas holiday, and we really very much enjoyed their visit. And I had this real deep sense of gratitude. It was a lot of work. I did a lot of cooking this time, but it was definitely worth it. And there was this overwhelming sense of joy and gratitude that my parents are still with me, that my brother is still with me, and that they were able to come onto the airplane and fly up here to Washington to be with us this year. It was a very wonderful experience. And it's something that I will cherish forever. And there are definitely going to be times when my family will be able to visit me here again. But this one moment that I had at Christmas time, that's the only time I'm really going to get that, right? There will be other moments when my family can come up and visit me, but that one moment, that time that I spent with them was very, very special. And it's very, very special because it can't be repeated again and again and again. So once again, Buddhism teaches us the impermanence of all things. In our tradition of this impermanence, we only have this time to truly embrace the teachings of Shinran and the wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha. That is why during these precious moments, we put our hands together and say the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, because we come to realize that we only have this life that we have here and now to really grasp the teachings, to really accept and embrace the teachings that have been given to us by Shinran Shonin, Shakyamuni Buddha, and the great Pure Land Masters who taught us of Amida Buddha's wisdom and compassion. This moment will never be able to be repeated again. So because of that, now is the time to embrace your loved ones, to embrace your family, to embrace your friends, to say how much you love them and how much you care for them, but then to also really take time to reflect and to embrace the teachings of Namo Amida Butsu. So with that in mind, I would like to thank everyone for attending this Sunday service. It's interesting, this year for the New Year's Eve and New Year's Day service, we went, because of certain health measures, we had to do it via YouTube again. But I look forward to another time where New Year's Eve falls on a Friday, New Year's Day falls on a Saturday, and then Sundays, the first Sunday service will be another service as well. So 3 services in a row. I certainly look forward to see who comes to all 3 services. We'll see how that goes. But I'm not sure when that will happen again. I should have done research to see when that sequence of events will happen again. But maybe it's for the best this year. Well, with that being said, thank you so much for attending this Sunday service. And once again, a very happy new year to everyone in the year of 2022. Let's hope for a wonderful, prosperous year. Let's hope that things get better. And I certainly look forward to seeing you all in person when that time does come. With that being said, please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandats. Namandats. Namandats.